Hello, viewers. I'm SB.
And I'm Amabel.
Oh, it's getting, sweetie, it's getting worse. We might have to take you to see a doctor about your song. And welcome back to Amabel Goes to 4X School, where we are in a place, I believe, to start talking about victory conditions. So here
Okay.
you can see the victory and performance summary for our current game of Endless Space 2. There are 6 different victory conditions, kind of. Supremacy and conquest are sort of, they're both military victories. It's just kind of like a decision of like which flavor of military victory is going to take less time for you to accomplish given the realities of your situation. And then score is not really a victory, it's just at the end of the game, at the end of turn 300, who has the highest score. Right now, it sure is us. And one thing I do like about this screen is it gives you access to some very quick information about your civilization, sort of split up into the various areas.
There's so many stats.
Yeah, and most of them aren't super meaningful. Like, it does not matter how many curiosities you've discovered since the beginning of the game in any way. This is just, it's just a number because they wanted to make sure that there was symmetry, right? So the actual victory conditions that we need to consider. First of all, supremacy and conquest. Like I said, they're both essentially military victories. Supremacy is own everybody's home systems, and conquest is own a certain percentage of the total map. These are extremely common, basically every 4X game, right? Supremacy, the idea of people's home systems or home cities, capital cities, is handled a little bit differently from game to game. In some games, you need to own a percentage of them and also your own. In some games, you need to own all of them. In some games, it's you need to be the only player who is still in control of your capital.
I have a weird question that's maybe
Yeah.
not entirely kosher to this particular
Mm-hmm.
game, but is it possible in some of these games, perhaps the terrestrial ones, to move your capital,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
is your capital fixed?
Absolutely.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay. There is the science victory, of course. In this game, the science victory is so this game shares a little bit of the problem with the last game, where the science victory shows 0% success, 0% progress, all the way up until you are winning.
Hmm.
Because the way it's measured here is you need to research the technologies of the endless. So it doesn't show like how close are you to unlocking those or how close is anybody else. It just says everybody's at 0 until you are doing the final task. So the technologies of the endless are these ones out here at the corners that require 3 unlocks from the last stage of 2 different quadrants.
Okay.
You can see there are 4 of them. In order to win the science victory in this game, we would need to research all 4. So that's, tree out in every direction. It's pretty doable.
Okay.
The economy thing, just like last time, is generate a total amount of dust over the course of the game to win. Dust obtained through diplomacy or the marketplace does not count toward this victory. You have to generate it income style. And finally, there is the wonder victory. There is a building called the obelisk of all space-time.
Okay.
I believe... Is it... I don't remember how it's accessed, honestly. Oh, you know what? It might be at the end of your faction quest or something. I think that's it. I think it's at the end of your faction quest.
What's
It's
that
been a
one that's
little...
blinking?
Oh, that's just one that
The-
has... it
What?
has the word obelisk in it
Okay.
somewhere. Oh, no, sorry. That's the one we're currently researching.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, if you do run a search and it like stuff comes back, you can see the things that have text matching your search light up.
Okay. Well, that's handy. Because it does seem like there's. Are there more technologies here than there were in Endless Legend? Like number of
Probably,
tech?
yeah, almost
Yeah.
certainly, right?
It feels like it.
But there's a much greater like range of military technologies. And they've broken some, like a bunch of the diplomatic options have been broken up over multiple things. There's a lot of technologies that have to do with the behemoths and the various ways that you can specialize them. Um, oh no, wait. Okay, here's the obelisk. Construct all the other buildings of this type to secure a wonder victory. So it is. Is it just at the end of that quadrant? Yeah, I kind of remembered that, and then I typed obelisk and nothing happened, but it only lights up the actual technologies. So you progress all the way to the end of this thing, and then you build a big expensive wonder, but you have to build actually 3 big expensive wonders. And each one you build is a huge benefit, obviously. It's a lot of extra resources and whatnot. Which victory condition are we going for? Honestly, I don't know. It is unfortunately a little bit of the case with this game as with Civ. It's like you get big and powerful, and then you just do whatever seems like the least work from where you're at.
Yeah.
This right here is a logistics fleet. He is trying to. Okay, so you see the cargo there is 3 points of Horatio population. He's trying to send population from Scythe back to the rest of his empire.
Okay.
To preserve the productivity. We do have the ability to shoot down that ship trivially because it is unarmed and everything. And if we do so, we will receive a large amount of dust. We will receive considerable resources. And the game doesn't really judge you at all for doing so. Like, you get militarist political impact. We destroyed a civilian transport fleet. You earned 900 dust. Why do you get 900 dust from doing that? I have no idea. And there's no consequences of any kind. It is mathematically, objectively correct to shoot down the civilian transport ship.
I am feeling consequences right now.
Yeah, I do think that's like that's icky. I'm not going to pretend it's not.
I mean, and this is I have some thoughts on this, but if you're in the middle of explaining something, I'll wait.
No, we're just continuing the war at this point. Our bombardment ships are reaching the front, and you can see the amount of damage we're doing to the enemy defenses per turn is jumping up very sharply. But that's it. So go ahead.
So a lot of the games I work on board game wise, even setting aside like the military stuff, just talking about like the political stuff, usually is concerned with like some morally objectionable shit and like how the ethics of representing that in a game and the ethics of representing like a point of view in the game, because you don't just want to unless you're like a Euro game designer, you don't just want to unquestioningly replicate the ethos of colonialism and imperialism. Right.
Obviously.
But like it's a tricky thing to navigate. How much to abstract, how much to like weigh your thumb on the scale. I did a game about the reign of Charlemagne, the French king, not the rapping man. And he did some pretty terrible things, and to have the game be a simulation, I did need to represent that, but I put like a penalty, like a victory point penalty, to show like the judgment of history. And people got it ruffled a lot of feathers doing that because they're like, well, wouldn't have been punished in his time. And I'm like, yeah, I know that in his time they thought that was sick and good, but it's
you have to
not.
make a decision. Well, you're talking about like a system where you have to make a decision what victory points mean.
Yeah,
which is less the case here because there isn't like an abstracted measure.
That's true. Yeah, it's a really tricky thing. And I don't think there's ever really like a correct decision. There's certainly a lot of different wrong ones.
Yeah.
And some that might feel less wrong, but everything is going to feel icky, as you said. And it's a troublesome area within my, the kind of work that I do that requires a lot of grappling. So what's going on now? Now that
So, and
I've been the class clown and put all the attention on me. So
yeah,
it's a
you talked all the way through the whole election. Damn, Amabel. Um, I used one of the election interference options to try to force the industrialists into power because of our faction quest, and combined with all of the industrialist building and the industrialist based research we've been doing, that not just got them into a spot where we can pick their laws, but in fact catapulted them into first place in the election, which I was not expecting. So
okay.
they are now our leading party for the next 20 turns, which is it's going to move our faction quest forward. I did not think that was going to be a possibility.
So
Okay, so we'll
maybe
check out our laws in a second here. Conflict has broken out between two of your trusted advisors. Two war heroes, once dearest friends, have nearly come to blows over the management of the Industrial Party. They trade insults in the press and don't print retractions. How gauche. One, a young upstart who has made enemies and allies with his decisive decision making. That's how most decision making is. Argues the party should adopt more taxes and tariffs in order to regulate the empire's debts. The other, a fine negotiator but dedicated opportunist, cautions against bold action and worries about the government's relationship with large businesses and foreign empires if such acts are taken. Their argument is as much personal as it is professional. Whichever advisor you back will have plenty of ammo to throw at the other as their rivalry continues. Okay, so we can greatly increase industrialist political ideology and convert some amount of food into dust for a while, or we can improve our star system trade values for a while. This one right now doesn't do anything because we don't have any trading companies yet.
okay.
But I don't know that I do. I don't know that I want to convert food into dust because we want to have food be food. We're still trying to grow pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to back the opportunist, even though it just has much less effect overall. Anyway, the industrialists have come to be one of our leading political parties. We have earned access to a new bill, and we're going to look into that in a minute. The kid is dealing pretty well with the Omakar and the Arakio. His returning stolen funds might have helped, but he also pitched a pretty good story about performance-enhancing ingestibles, most of which grow on Mios farms. Or, as he puts it, farms from farbs, because he's not good at the talking. So what we need next is clear. The more laws we can get passed, the more amendments and riders we can slide in there to protect our business. No matter what laws get passed, we're in a position to make money off of them, so maintain two industrialist laws for 10 turns. This is absolutely doable. And when we do that, we will get apolitical population. It will reduce the approval required for government change. Basically, people will get bored of paying attention to the government, the bureaucracy's too much, and we'll just be able to get away with whatever we want. Unfortunately, somewhat functional as a real-life political strategy, as we have seen.
Yeah.
And the Academy is begging for dust again. Whatever. Okay, so yeah, let's we are continuing to produce population, which is rad. We are continuing to run ships forward to Scythe. Let's take a look at our government before we go getting back to combat. So, the industrialists are in the lead, but the pacifists have been in the government longer, and so we have access to like different sets of laws for the two of them. Let's see here. First of all, whichever party is in the lead has their leading law enacted, and that's pinned. You can't remove that. You can't do anything about that. So the law for these guys is 15% of industry spent for any construction is converted into dust at the end. So when you finish building a ship or an improvement, you get a little bit of dust based on its industry cost, which is cool, I guess. Whatever. It's just free money. The industrialist laws that we have access to here are bonus food for outposts and a big boost to system happiness everywhere whenever we Whenever we properly acquire a new colony, getting it through invasion totally counts. So that's something that we might want to put in because we are about to do that. The pay it forward unpaid extra shifts for contented workers bill. Hey, who'd have guessed? Happy workers make more productive workers. Who would have thought? Plus 25% industry output on systems where you're ecstatic, which is phenomenal if you can manage it. And the Mineral Misers Act, or the Mining and Refining Efficiency Improvement Decree, which gives us extra industry and extra resources from strategic resource deposits. And these are relatively expensive to maintain, but at this point we actually do have some influence income to play with. Now, our faction quest requires us to keep 2 industrialist laws live, and I think this would count. I think the pinned one counts. So we could, with this slot, try to run something else. What I'm going to do is leave this slot open for a turn, because I want to see if the counter on the quest increments with these 2, or if it needs to be 2. If it needs to be 2 laws excluding the free one. So let's just pin that. We'll see what happens. Over here, Horatio has produced a medium ship. The shipyards at Scythe are working hard. Unfortunately,
Horatio, buddy.
Unfortunately, that's not going to be sufficient. Absalon does have ships here, but we are going to focus on Horatio. Yeah, this thing is. I mean, I assume it's going to run away. It didn't run away. He.
All right. I want to see this battle in slow motion.
So this is what I was talking about with the AI. There's no reason to do this. This is objectively a horrible play. He loses a very expensive ship that he spent a lot of time building for actually no gain, whereas retreating would at least have it, limp away toward his other stuff so that he could repair it and potentially use it in a battle at some point where it could make a difference. This is just him throwing shit away for no reason because the AI is just sadly not up to the task of playing this game. And it's not, I'm not trying to be too harsh about that. Like, I understand it's a very difficult task, but it is kind of a bummer. It does make the game a lot less exciting to play when the AI can't fight back at all. It's like beating up a child.
But you enjoy doing that.
It's like beating up a child in theory, not that I would know from experience.
Remind me how the retreat, just if you choose retreat, you lose some percentage of your.
Yeah,
then
you take a bunch of damage from being shot in the ass as you're flying away. But yeah, if you survive that much, Is
it a fixed amount of damage?
It's a fixed percentage of your max HP.
Okay.
And again, there's absolutely no reason not to shoot down the civilians. Okay, their defenses will be completely dismantled next turn. And we still have more junks coming in because we're going to just obviously roll down their entire empire doing this. We are not going to attack purple yet. Oh, hey, look at that.
What is that?
Why, that, I believe, is a wormhole.
Oh.
Okay, we hacked the pirates. I would love to just, reduce the amount of pirates that we're getting here. I don't think it's worth trying to improve our relationship with them because they're too greedy and relationship decays too quickly. It's just not a valuable thing to do.
Remind me of something I saw in a comment about the hacking. I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently the farther away you are when you do the hack, the less likely it is to get discovered because it takes them longer to trace it back to you.
Right. They have to run the counter hack back to the source of the hack, but
it's going to take longer to do the hack in the first place.
Well, that doesn't matter for that purpose. But you can let me get to the end of a sentence before replying to the thing I'm saying.
I'm sorry, teacher.
But the thing about that is it doesn't matter. Like, the counter hacking system is so irrelevant. There's a lot of systems in this game, and I don't feel that they necessarily, especially the ones that were added later in the expansions, like the hacking and to some degree some of the stuff going on with the academy. I don't know that I feel like it got time to fully bake.
Okay.
I have over how many games of Endless Space never had it really matter that somebody traced a hack. Every once in a
Okay.
while, they will have enough computer skill to trace you back and cancel your hack before it's able to complete, so you don't get any benefit from it, and to impose some penalties on you. But the fact is, they're small enough penalties, and the value of a successful hack is low enough in the first place that it's another one of those things that just sort of recedes into the soup.
Gotcha.
It's
Thank
just
you
like
for explaining
okay, well, I didn't get that tiny bundle of resources or that tiny little bit of extra um diplomatic whatever, and you just get the resources from somewhere else and continue about your day.
Okay. Thank you, sweetheart.
So we picked up this quest while you were talking. It was just, again, just another little quest: do a thing, get a thing. We enacted 2 industrialist laws, which I thought would be the good way to go with this, since we were focusing on that with our faction quest anyway. It gave us a free technology as a reward for finishing it, and that technology is the technology that reveals the wormholes, which are travel nodes or travel routes between the different constellations. And so that's why we can suddenly see
Okay.
that thing. In addition, we got the simple anomaly reduction, which cancels the negative effects of mixed anomalies, which we had plenty of. So that's kind of handy. And you can see we now have more hacking operations available. But again, the value of hacking is fairly low, so it's kind of whatever. Okay,
Um.
Horatio's, I guess, building a lot of ships somewhere else. He has shown up with certainly more of a fleet, but unfortunately, like, it just doesn't. It's still not enough of a fleet, my dude. You still
uh,
didn't bring enough ships.
so would you say that the espionage
These ones ran
system?
away.
Okay. The espionage system in Endless Legend is a lot more developed than the hacking system is here.
Uh, so I get you have to be very careful with the word developed there, I think.
Oh, okay.
The
Do you?
the hacking system has way more stuff going on in it than the espionage system did, but the espionage system, while relatively simple, is a lot more consequential. Where the stuff that you end up doing via espionage in this game, it's so much just kind of whatever that it makes it a
Okay.
little hard to care when things go right or go wrong. Notice we got some wormholes from a bunch of our systems here pointing towards something relatively nearby that we never managed to scan. That's actually pretty interesting, and it does make me want to produce. I'm gonna put out a scout real quick on this system over here. We're gonna send a scout in that direction. Yeah, like the hacking system's way more complex, and there are a lot of things you can do with it, but they just
But
aren't large enough in effect.
you don't feel incentivized to
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't feel like there's a lot of reward for paying attention to it. Nor a lot of penalty for not paying attention to it. I think if you just turned off the prompt that said, "Hey, you don't have any hacks running," and you just didn't use the hacking system all game, I don't think it would matter. Like, you might have a little bit of trouble getting your hands on the first couple of neutral civilizations you meet, especially if they're not on your constellation, but only a little bit of extra trouble. And like that part of that might be that the system is too inconsequential, But another part of it is that the AI is just not providing much of a challenge. And so you can kind of ignore a huge amount of your power levers because you only need to, you only need to fight at 25% capacity to win the game. And those things are kind of inextricable from one another, right? Like how developed is the system and how difficult is my opponent are deeply interwoven.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's a real a lot of it does come down to the fact that just the Endless Legend AI is not up for competing with a player, and so it's hard to tell even if some of the systems matter. Anyway, we're going to take this system now. He doesn't have any defenders. There is a defensive. We haven't gotten to see the defensive cards yet because nobody's invading us. But there is a defensive card that allows you to press gang a point of population into troops. So even though he is showing 0 reserve manpower, there's potentially some manpower here. There could be a battle because he could press population into troops if he wanted to. We're going to see if he does. He did. Horatio. Come on, man. In any case, we win. We didn't quite kill them all, though, because he's got tanks now. And we did destroy an improvement. So he's going to drag this out. He wants this to be... He's going to try to slow us down here, which is frustrating. But, in the end, not that big of a deal. All right, we have access to the middle tier strategic resources now. If we do one more thing from this quadrant, we'll unlock level 3 system developments, which I think is probably worthwhile. The Planet Cracker Factory allows us to convert large amounts of industry into science. That might be a thing worth picking up if we're planning to go for a science victory. And maybe we are.
I mean, I have only seen you go for science victories in every game we've done in this entire series.
Yeah, it is definitely my
okay.
flavor. The thing is, like, it is obvious, I hope, it is obvious to you that we could just win a military victory, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen how the AI fights back.
Yeah.
We could just roll over everybody. But given how long this is taking, how long is that going to be, right? Versus just make number go up faster.
And I get the appeal of the science victory because it's kind of like, if you'll pardon a digression, it's kind of like the appeal of me going building strat every time we play Great Western Trail, because every new thing you get gives you a new thing, and it's cool to have new things.
Sure, I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna tell you just straight up. The appeal of the science victory in almost every 4X game for me is that it is the most human real world minutes efficient victory condition.
Okay. Wow.
It takes more time to command an army than it does to command the scientists.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
I understand this is an area where we differ, but you also win games more often than I do. So I feel like maybe you have some merit there.
Also, we have so much stuff to do. It is maybe an element of me playing these games essentially for a job that I want to game efficiently.
Yeah.
Because it does sound a little silly when you just say it like that.
No, but I know what you, because if
sorry, we are advancing, by the way, here, so we don't need
Okay.
to install another industrialist law. So I might try to pursue the happiness. Oh, hey, we got to 10 Nashest. So, bonus military output from each point of our Nashest population. It's the 10-point bonus is always an increase in their political, whatever their political beliefs are. The 20-point bonus is the one that matters. where any place that point of population is, they give a bonus. You can see planets with Neshest on them become incredibly difficult to attack in ground battles. And then at 50 points, they give some kind of strategy card or something, generally, I think. Or law.
I would rather send you an arrow than this reply.
Okay, they're threatening to war us. But, that's pretty whatever. You know what? Jam all the tanks onto the ground at once. Let's fucking get this done with. I'm trying my level best not to destroy their whole planet, but they're going to do a lot more damage forcing all of their population into battle than I am burning down some buildings to get them to stop doing that. Yeah, we're not doing enough damage to push through their armor. We're winning, but it's taking long enough that they're getting time to press more population into battle. Yep, and we destroyed a bunch of improvements there, and point of population died. This'll help. The fact that we destroyed their bunkers on that one means their manpower deployment will be lessened, but it's still
not optimal.
Still ongoing. All right. We are producing, we are continuing. Yeah, I'm really curious. We have a number of wormholes around here. Actually, I'm going to produce a couple of caravels. There is a new era of exploration to engage in. This I appreciate. I really like the wormholes opening up when they do, and thus creating that, like, all of a sudden we have access to not just new constellations, but more like small bodies. Oh, hey, you finally arrived at Amuba. Cool. Let us explore. We do have colonizable worlds out here and the dust to colonize them. And because of our unique colonization method, we don't have to actually like build a ship and run it out here, which is nice. Let's see what they have. The surface of this planet is tranquil, but a quick scan reveals that the ground under the surface is teeming with robots, diligently working to transform the barren wastes into fertile land. You have no idea who created them. It strikes you, however, that these robots could be put to good use on some of your less agriculturally inclined systems. So, a bonus food per population point on barren worlds where colonized. They are still writing text that looks like this in this game. It's a real amplitudism. Because as you said before, they have a system that's drawing the functional text directly from what the code does, right?
Yeah, that's what our pal said.
Okay, we discovered a pretty cool repair module that is made out of, unfortunately, one of the higher tier strategic resources. But look at that. 300 bonus health. It repairs the ship for 20% after battle and repairs the ship for 15% after each phase of the battle. That's a pretty good kind of repair bot. We also discovered an adamantium deposit and a comatite volcano. Whoa! All right, that's a rad anomaly. Yeah, this medium world here is fantastic. Look at the outputs on that. So, if we were to plow basically all of our dust into this, we could settle this world. If we did that, we would be pushing past our over-colonization limit even more. People would be getting even angrier. And we are still planning to conquer more of Horatio's stuff. So we are really like just sort of blowing clean past this whole thing.
Yeah.
Where are the technologies for interacting with that again?
Or to make people happy.
Because there's all the colonization technologies that have to do with colonizing new kinds of worlds. Picking those up in this search. I don't know what to call that would not, because I think there's something you can research. Okay, here we go. overcolonization approval modifications are in this wedge of the thing. +1 system occupied before triggering expansion disapproval. Here's another +2 up there. All right. So it probably is the case, honestly, that the obelisk is the fastest way for us to win, especially since we're like pretty developed in this quadrant already. If we can get together those resources, and that's going to require us to probably be able to mine the last two, the purple and the green, which is, yeah, in here. Or a Calcix, and I think the last one's still Hyperium. No, Quadradix, never mind. Okay. I think that's my intent. What do you think? Do we want to pick up this like low strategic value system that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere? Oh, hold on. We saw the edge of some satellite activity out here. We know where the blue player is. We haven't met them, but we do know where they are. I guess let's grab it.
Yeah.
You know, one of these planets could turn out to have high strategics on them, right? All right. Now, unfortunately, we're going to be hard pressed to pull food from the planets themselves. Base output of 2 food. So we are going to be reliant on planets, ships from home, and also, unfortunately, it's going to take ships from home 1 billion years to get out here. So I kind of think this is just going to be in settling mode for a really long time. It won't be 33 turns though. I'm going to go ahead and press this strategy button here. We're going to get people really excited about going to settle the distant star of Auva. That's a lot of influence. It took some convincing, but the next ship will show up with 181 food in it, and that's necessary. I think if we ever want to be able to run population on this thing. Okay, so that being the case, let's talk about laws. So I would like to get Make Love Not War going and establish some peace with some of our other folks. The Nakalim obviously do not care for my ass, but we can make friends with others. So what's the story with the Nakalim right now? They have a treaty. That's a peace treaty. Like they were at war and now have negotiated a settlement where they beat up on these guys for a while. Nobody else has any particular feelings about them. All right. Well, that suggests to me that you and I ought to be friends.
You're not one of them.
But you're going to make it difficult. Okay. We're not able to trade texts with you. Would you want maps? We can, no, they don't care. That doesn't change the bar at all. What about a trade agreement? What if we make a trade agreement? Nope, they actually consider that to be negative value. One thing that I really do miss is that, in Endless Legend, when you moused over a term, it would show you how that term was going to affect the contract bar. Here, you actually have to put it in and let it recalculate, and that does make life difficult. Okay, so they're hungry for Hyperium. We do have some Hyperium.
What now?
But I don't want to give them as much as they want, because that's... Well, I guess, you know what? They're asking for a pretty small amount. We have a lot. This is fine. I would do this.
We still don't trust you.
Okay.
This decision gives us hope for the future.
Feeling cordial. And then... Oh, no, blue is the one we do know. It's pink that we don't know. What about you? You want peace? Would you be interested in peace?
So we will stop at hello.
Okay, we could get there with... If we give them basically our entire stock of strategic resources, they would be down. We don't even have the influence to make that deal, but also that's a little ridiculous. So right now, this law would just give us plus 15 peace, 15 approval, We can probably do better. I mean, obviously, we could just put Toys for Boys back on for a little while. The industry reduction is not great, but it is resources. How are the individual systems doing? Yeah, everybody's kind of hovering in the middle. Another thing that I do think is a little bit of an issue is that, like, in Endless Legend, the banding for the approval is different. If you remember, it's like the content band is like 41 to 60%. And it's a lot easier to get an amount of influence from a single or amount of approval from a single thing that's going to shift which band you're in and thus change your resources. Because content goes from 30 to 70, I believe, in this game. Like, Zorak can gain 30 points of approval and not change in any way.
Oh, wow.
And in fact, that's the case for 3 of our systems could gain a full 30 points of approval without passing that bar. And so trying to fix their approval feels a lot less meaningful because, again, the things you do are just they're not consequential.
What an odd choice. I think you'd want more of that granularity. This game came out...
Well, they didn't change the amount of granularity in the sense that there are still 5 bands. It's just that they made the middle band really big in this game.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe we just run like the Mineral Misers Act for a while. This will eat up basically all of our influence output, but it is extra. It's a lot of extra industry, and that's basically what I was doing. Was trying to figure out how do we push our industry really hard. I think I'm going to do that.
This is something that would be quite different in a board game with these kinds of systems because you can't really have that level of, percentage-based incremental stuff. If you have 5 bands, you're 1 or 2 steps from each band. At any given time. And
all right,
I do. All right, see how this works.
I skipped there's no reason for us to actually watch it. Yeah, he's every turn he's just destroying his population. There's not going to be anything left on this planet by the time we finish.
I like seeing the little tanks, though.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm a child. I want to see the little tanks. I want to see the ships.
Okay, so we finished our trade company headquarters. Let me run this junk down to here to join up with the fleet. Yeah, we finished our trade company headquarters, which is not doing anything by itself. We need to build subsidiaries to run trade 2, and then the value of the trade route will be based on the value of both the endpoint systems and the route that is traced between them. And then if you run trade agreements with other players, your companies can connect to their subsidiaries. So we'd like to build the subsidiary fairly far forward. I actually think Zorak is probably an okay spot for it. Yeah, we'll put this down here. That's fine. All right, the pirates really are not doing very much. And I mean, like, at this point, most of our economy is based on blowing up civilian transport fleets, which doesn't even make any sense. I don't love being, like, mechanically exhorted to do things that are both gibberish and evil. Like, it's better to choose one or the other. At some point, Horatio's gonna have to give up over here. But, like, obviously, this thing he's doing, it's a viable strategy for exhausting the manpower of an offensive fleet, as long as you don't care about the system that you're doing it with. Because the system's going to be basically like burned to cinders, right? It's going to be back to the beginning. But it makes it so that we have a lot less manpower to continue forward into his other systems with.
Yeah.
And critically, it wastes a lot of real-world human time. All right, reconnaissance data indicates that a group of pirates have targeted one of your systems. Allowing that to happen on your watch will certainly cause some annoyances in the next election. Although, it's worth noting that this doesn't, like, they're talking in terms of, like, a real-world concern here, but we're not elected and we can't be voted out, so it sort of doesn't, whatever. Would you really let a bunch of criminals upset your carefully constructed vision for your empire? The pirates must be taught a lethal lesson, either by the use of your fleets or by the clear indication that they are set up to fail. As always, it is your political acumen or budgetary needs that will determine how best to handle this. So blow up those pirates over in the Scorpius system. Or assign a Guardian-class hero to plan its defense. Assign a Guardian-class hero to what? Is the Scorpius system one of mine, or... Okay, yeah, sorry. The Scorpius system is not the system where the pirates are. It's up here. Well, I don't think we have a spare Guardian-class hero, so we're probably not doing that one. All right, we'll dig into what that means in a moment here.
Okay.
We discovered a source of quadronics. Interesting. Also, a threat of discontent has been growing in the population as some voters believe the galaxy is even more dangerous than it appears. You are under pressure to turn your policies and investments to more military uses. It's called military militants. It just does militarism. It's just an event that occurs and makes your people love militarism. Okay. The gibberish factor is tuned extremely high on that one.
Yeah, there are other words you could use that would be like a trenchant commentary on.
But like doing it the way they did it there makes it extremely obvious that like that's the point, right? The thing they're doing is the point.
Yeah,
it is silly nonsense on purpose. I wonder why it I have no idea. No visibility under the hood, obviously. Like, why is it sensible to have an event that's just like, this one makes the militarism go up? But I wonder if it is like solving some particular problem or something. Because it does seem very strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we could start doing preemptive bot. Like, we could save our manpower and just do a lot more shooting them from space.
Yeah, I definitely feel
this is gonna make. There's no version of this that doesn't take forever. Once he's devoted to the, I'm gonna kill every one of my people strategy. We kind of just have to let him do it. We can try to limit the amount of our people who are dying at the same time, I guess. No, actually, that did the superior gunpowder of our fleet did overwhelm the conscripted population there. So I think this is still worth occupying.
Yeah.
It still has 7 improvements. With this being where the wormhole to this constellation is, it definitely has some value as a strategic thing, obviously. The Scarred Combat Zone was the stage of the most devastating campaign that took place during the invasion. So we have created a devastated no man's land system relic, which needs to be explored. But that's probably going to provide some, negative value. We'll get there. All right, we got a bunch of diplomacy. Request by the church. Yep. They're threatening me and trying to get me to pay them. I don't really want to take this treaty. And they have done a bureaucratic imbroglio at us. Oh no. The diplomatic pressure. I don't know what that's accomplishing for him, really. Like, it's not... Yeah, that's not hugely dangerous to us at all. It doesn't really matter. again, just kind of like people making noise on the other side of the planet or the other side of the galaxy.
It definitely when we started playing this, it definitely felt like there was a lot of like awareness of like a more explicit awareness of imperialism and why it's bad, and then the gibberish.
I definitely think there is.
Yeah, but then the gibberishness kind of, I feel, counteracts that.
Yeah, I can see why you might say that. So hold on. We do have probes on this fleet. Let's just go ahead and scout this with a probe. We discovered okay, just busted up remains of stuff. Okay. Got back some of the titanium that was used in the construction of the buildings, perhaps. So obviously I would love to refuse this treaty, but I think at this point, the desire for the war to be over is too great. So, okay, we're being forced to accept our victory here. He's going to pay us 185 dust for 14 turns, or per turn, for 14 turns. Fine. The war is over. So basically, like, the idea of that mechanic, I think, is mostly just to stop, because, like, we could snowball infinitely, right? We could just roll forward forever. They want to make that, at the very least, more expensive as an option. In theory, that, I guess, is, like, to reduce, well, first of all, the degree to which a player, the human player, can be just, like, rolled out of the game, except that that's not a realistic concern, because what AI is going to do that? And the other thing is it just slows the game down, which seems to be a thing that there is some interest in doing, despite the fact that I think maybe we could go faster. All right.
Yeah, I
ecologist stuff from these Horatios. We have gained a lot of Horatio population.
So definitely one thing I've noticed from watching you play these games and anticipating the games we'll be playing going forward, they are long.
They are long. Sometimes they can be long. And there is a specific movement in the space in reaction to that. There is a whole subgenre of like people attempting what I call the pocket 4X, where they like, how much stuff can we strip out of this while still maintaining the parts that people like, the feel that people like.
Yeah.
And try to get the gameplay down to like, what if you could do it in an hour? What if it was reasonable to do it on your lunch break or in an evening with friends? So like, for example, I know we talked about this briefly during, while we were playing Civ. The default game speed for Civilization multiplayer is a lot faster than the default game speed for single player.
Okay.
In a way that really like bends the systems to a point where I think the game is less interesting than it is in single player. And it highly privileges, certain kinds of internal play and stuff because, you can fiddle with production and science costs in order to like speed the game up, but if you're not also changing the speed at which troops move and the distance that weapons fire, then
the scale's gonna be all funky. Yeah,
you're fucking the scale real bad. But yeah, like the intention there is to make it so that you can play a multiplayer game of Civ in a couple hours instead of the 6 or whatever that it takes
so
to
these
get through
pocket ones, they're on the curriculum. We'll get to them like 2027 or so.
I'm hoping, yeah. I have a couple of things penciled in. Slipways is effectively one attempt at this, although Slipways, in order to get there, did cut one of the X's out entirely. And there's a couple other things, Space Tyrant, Nexus. Yeah, stuff we'll be looking at. Okay, so the new industrialist movement on Takim is causing more problems than you would like. Apparently, some political organizations have been spearheading a civilian movement to tear down the old, destroying valuable cultural monuments and priceless artifacts in an attempt to usher in a new industrial era. If this is allowed to continue, intellectualism and innovation on Takim will be crippled for decades to come. Still, the near fanatical energy of this movement is doing wonders for the system's industry. What will you do? I don't know that. Okay. So we have two options here: a scientist-aligned one where we gain science but lose industry, and an industry-aligned one where the opposite thing happens. Takim. Okay. Yeah. Sabotage supplies, I guess. Takim is which one of our systems? Again, this is a problem, right? Where I don't know what's what because we own too much stuff. Okay, so Takim is a place where a fair amount of science is getting done, for sure. I don't know. This probably doesn't matter. The short-term loss of science output in order to get more science buildings built for the next 10 turns is probably the right way to go.
So I like the fact that so many of these missions are like make a choice which thing you want or which mission you want. But because there are so many of them and so many of the choices do seem kind of like whatever, that definitely isn't as compelling as I'd like it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also, I think part of the problem is that the system for determining political alliance is complicated enough under the hood that they don't expose it very much. They don't want to show you that math too much because it would be, intimidating. And so you get a lot of like, this increases industrialist political sentiment. This one increases scientist political sentiment greatly. And it's like, well, what do those things actually mean? You have no idea. You just kind of, it's all vibes. And that is, I do think, is a bummer. It makes it harder to feel that the specifics of the decisions are important. So as you can see, travel along a wormhole is instant. It is a single point of movement to go from one end to the other. But we have arrived here at this pirate system. It looks like this is on the same constellation as the Nakalimar, maybe. But there's a neutral civilization here we can see from the circle that they just never encountered. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I am waiting here until we get one more probe so we can check the last curiosity. And then I think what we're going to do with this ship is probably fly it back to NGC 1010 and shoot some probes out here and get vision of what's going on with Blue. And Scorpius, I don't know. We don't have a huge... So we're running ecstatic now on Scorpius. Oh, right, because we have that big bonus from recently colonizing a system. So I was going to say, maybe we should bounce some people off of this over-colonized planet, but we're above the ecstatic threshold even with all the overpopulation penalties, so fuck it, I guess. In that case, bonus dust on planets with luxury deposits. We have all three of the planets in this system have luxury deposits on them, so that'll be a fair amount of extra money. And at some point, we have to bite the bullet and just build the predictive logistics. It's slow work, but 20 extra industry for each planet that you have colonized is a pretty big deal. And we have the ability to terraform a lot of planets here, but I'm a little reluctant, like, terraforming hot planets toward, temperate, more livable stuff does reduce the industry bonus on them, and you get the same kind of effect with the cold planets, where making them more temperate reduces the extreme science outputs that are possible. And I'm always a little unsure, like, which is the right way to pump the mixture,
Yeah.
So what I end up doing instead is just not doing a lot of terraforming. And is that the right thing to do? I don't know. It ends up not mattering. We end up winning the game anyway, so I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to do the math. All right, now that our combat fleet is just kind of like sitting here, I'm waiting for the ships that I had ordered up to the front to arrive. Okay, we unlocked that next technology stage. Oh, we got another science and industry event here. It appears that an intergalactic congress of scientists has turned into a labor dispute. They have come to the conclusion that their work is grossly underappreciated and plan to halt all experimental efforts until their wages improve, their lab equipment is upgraded, and their work reported more professionally. So there's a lot of these like mini crises that are designed to pit science against industry. Because if you don't do something to pit science against industry, then I'm just going to do all the science and all the industry becomes the number one strategy, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to make it so that there's some pressure between them. Unfortunately, again, we're talking about bonuses here that are small enough that it's kind of whatever. Like, also, we can elect to just take a penalty to dust to not suffer a penalty to either of the important things. And I think that's probably where we're going. Yeah, like there's a couple hundred dust per turn that we lost there. And we gained some science, and it's all kind of whatever. it's all just stuff is happening. As I was saying, the military vessels, I'm gonna pull some of them back now. We had been waiting here, but you know what? Let's just send the last couple of junks to Zorak. I want to refill on our manpower, and then we should go knock out this pirate base real quick while we're in a lull between wars.
Yeah.
We have discovered the Zermisala. So, okay, they're not undiscovered by the Nakalim. The Nakalim are currently their patron. They just have decided not to assimilate them, I guess. So the Zermisala are a people both ancient and unfortunate. Bioengineers of the concrete endless discovered these dust-sensitive ungulates, and over time they altered the species to make them even more attuned to the presence and movement of dust. When the dust wars started, therefore, the Zermisala became critical to the war effort, and the concretes exponentially increased their augmentation efforts. It was quite a success, as the Zermisala abetted the endless pogrom, different words, that led to the destruction of the Lost. After the Lost fell, they evolved on their own, but it was not long before they were discovered by the expanding empire of the Nakalim. Appreciating their skills, the Nakalim adopted the Zermisala for a different reason, to seek out, against all hope, any Lost that may remain alive in the galaxy. Okay, so they give your systems bonus dust for the number of curiosities that were discovered on that system. That's kind of neat. It does give them a nice archaeologist kind of feel. I mean, I guess let's try to get. We'll throw some bribes on here. We can afford to throw quite a bit of dust at them, and then we're also going to explore curiosities for them, and maybe we can sneak them away from the Nakalim. And if not, we can, maybe at least pull some resources here. Quadronix intensifiers. Ooh, that is a massive improvement to energy damage. That's quite a support module. Obviously, anything made of Quadronix is very expensive, but... Okay, this planet suffers from meteor strikes. Got a little bit of science there. And it's got one of those cool komatiite volcanoes. So, at this point in the game, we're producing 1,600 science per turn. So when we find 25 science on a planet, it kind of just is whatever. That was a meaningful bonus at the beginning of the game, but we're just sort of evolved beyond it at this point. All right, here is our last probe for this. Oh, we found a negative anomaly. The soil here is very bad. Well, I mean, the planet's made of lava. That makes sense. Unfortunately, we did not discover any of these super high-value strategic resources. It's a little bit of a bummer. We're probably going to hang out here waiting for probes to generate as well. You guys just keep doing what you're doing. Do not fire on those Academy vessels, please. And so we have unlocked another level of system development, I would definitely like to I would like to do some more system improvements if we have the resources for it. So let's see. We have anything that we have that has an underline on it is something that we have income of. So we're producing 3 red sang per turn, 4 hydromiel, 5 deciduous trees. We have an awful lot of transvine coming in, which is pretty rad. Amianthoid improves our defenses, kind of not really that exciting. The super spuds reduce the cost to buy stuff out on systems, which is kind of fun. But if we're doing a higher level of modernization, I think we probably want to wind some bonus approval into it. And then, I mean, more dust, more food. It's probably not food. Yeah, maybe more dust. The thing is, like, these are, you can see, you're paying a lot more for the higher levels of modernization. And we are not producing these resources quickly enough to be able to afford this kind of booster on many of our systems. Not quickly. That system's showing a big food deficit, but that's because it's the system that's sending the food ships out to Alva. That'll be the case for a little while. It's fine. So where are we at right now as far as happiness goes? A lot of our systems are feeling pretty happy. We're over the 70% threshold in a bunch of them with the improvements that we've made and gaining more planets. But keep in mind, the big benefit, the big bonus here is temporary. That recently colonized system thing only lasts, what, 5 turns? Yeah, 5 turns. So if we don't continue to pick up new systems, we're going to see things dip back down into the grim. And we are definitely incentivized to grab Idris now that we know it's a place where there's quadradix, because there's not necessarily a lot of sources of these higher strategics in the galaxy. It would be 4,300 dust for us to pick that up. All right, well, we're building dust production stuff in a lot of places. Hopefully we can push our income up a bit. The trade company getting completed will help a lot too. All right, the junks don't really need to be... I don't know. They don't really have these are our bombardment ships. These don't really have a role for the moment. They'll be useful again eventually. We're going to go bomb this pirate base out, and then we'll come back to defend Saif afterward. Okay, and I think let's let the turn roll around. You know what? I'm fine with it. Let's just let the turn roll around and then call the episode there for today. Oh no, not enough hacks assigned. We did this thing. I was building science buildings because I wanted to build science buildings, but also we did build enough research labs. Whatever these strange entities are, they are pleased to have made contact and insist that they come in peace. Or at least that if they do harm, it's an accident. A small gift of their technology may give you a look into their strange world. So, Umbral Choir ship where last improvement was built. Okay, we got another quest that's whatever, possess 2 new watery planets to improve the supply chain, and you'll get an amount of red sang that won't even fund a booster by itself. It's like, why would I care? Okay, Wyrix has been hacked. Okay. I guess so. Alright, here's our Umbral Choir reward ship, this triad. I mean, it's a whole medium vessel. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
What's up, sweetie?
I'm just wondering if this level of enthusiasm is what's going to carry us through the next, I don't know, 10 episodes of this.
There are lots of things that happen that do matter, that are significant and consequential. It's just that's not one of them. All right, what's on the other end of the wormholes? What are they pointing at? They're pointing at... Okay, a minor faction.
Because it does feel like with every one of these games that we've played, we do get to the soup phase eventually.
Yeah.
It's just happened a lot quicker here.
I think a thing that really makes Endless Legend stand out is that it just kind of doesn't have that, or it certainly doesn't have it to the same degree. Like the things in Endless Legend that are happening feel way more important for pretty much the whole game, and I think part of it is that it does manage its scale quite carefully. Things are very
Yeah.
pulled back in Endless Legend, but yeah, like this is absolutely part of like a tricky problem that a lot of 4Xs have, and we've discussed it before as the like mid to late game problem, where like a lot of players get to this part of the game and it's just like less interesting, and so they stop playing, and they never see the end of a game.
Yeah. This reminds me to a certain degree of, I probably mentioned this before, the 18xx board games,
Yeah,
where your meaningful decisions tend to be made in like the first third or half of the game, and then you got like 3 more hours of
yeah,
and it all matters. It's all like butterfly effects. It all has texture, but it's not necessarily as compelling. And I've heard people argue that
it's not as juicy. It does not have the
Yeah.
juice past a certain point.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to sink your teeth into the parts that have the juice. The
Oh,
juice is
yeah.
great.
No,
Um, Anyway, that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, our trade companies are coming together. We have this bristling fleet of beweaponed ships that we have nothing to do with, that we're probably going to figure out something to do with. And we will continue to work toward, I think, unlocking the obelisks is gonna be the way to do this, maybe?
Okay.
We'll see. We'll continue working towards some kind of victory. And we'll see you then.